Hi, in this video we demonstrate how to get started with the Kubernetes command line client kubectl. The Minikube installation includes a kubectl command line client, but it gets installed on the Minikube virtual machine. So when working with this client, we have to always specify the Minikube command, the kubectl subcommand, and then finally the kubectl commands that we want to run. Now let's make sure that our Kubernetes cluster is up and running by running the minikube status command. If the cluster is stopped, make sure you run minikube start to start it back up. And you can also validate your nodes are up and running from the Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager. Minikube, minikube M02, M03, all three in a running state. Let's try to see what the minikube kubectl command would look like. So one example would be minikube kubectl get namespaces. Another example would be minikube kubectl get nodes. And then another example would be minikube kubectl get pods. Now pods does not return any resources because we have no pods in the default namespace, but the command seems to be a little bit too complicated. Now clearly aliases can be configured, but this is not always the most practical method to run the kubectl command. So best practices are calling for kubectl to be installed on our workstation in order to interact with remote Kubernetes clusters. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and install kubectl on our workstation, following the steps described by the official Kubernetes documentation to install kubectl. So we're going to install kubectl on Linux. We will install it via binaries and curl. So we'll choose the first installation option for x86. Let's select this command and download the latest release. Oh, it seems that not the entire command has been copied. Let's clean this up. And we will maybe select a shorter command with a specific version, 129.2. And here it is. The kubectl package gets downloaded. We're skipping the validation and we're going straight to the install command. Make sure that you paste the complete command. For some reason it was incomplete again. Just completing it. Just enter, and that's it. It's all done. Now we can verify the installation by running the kubectl version client command. An incorrect syntax. Let's remove the extra space, and here it is. The client is 129.2, which is still compatible with the Kubernetes release that we run in our cluster, which is Kubernetes 128.3. And then another practical command would be to run the kubectl version with the YAML output. Now, additional commands that we can run against the Kubernetes cluster are kubectl cluster info. That simply shows us the control plane's IP address and the endpoint of the core DNS server. Another practical command would be the kubectl config view. It is a command that lists the configuration file's content, the file that is used by kubectl to securely access the API server running on the control plane. So one way to list this file is the kubectl config view command. A second way would be to run cat against the .kube /config file. So it's one and the same file, two different methods of accessing the contents of this file. And now that we have kubectl up and running, we can run simply kubectl get nodes as such, or we can run kubectl get namespaces as such, or we can run kubectl get pods directly as such. Now, this kubectl command line tool will be used from now on to interact with resources in the cluster, to deploy applications, to manage dependencies, to terminate applications when no longer needed. Now, this concludes our demo. As homework, please enable the shell auto-completion feature of kubectl on your workstation. Thank you for watching. Join me in the next video.